Come on in. Come on in and share. So we have, I have several devices. I know Shatara do too, because we're doing Clubhouse as well. But come on in the room, y'all, like and share. Hey, those of you who are joining in via Clubhouse, those of you who are on the Zoom meeting, and also those of you who are on Facebook Live. Hello, I am Sharisa T, visionary of I Teach, I Coach LLC, also visionary of HR Ministries, and I am excited to be on here with you guys this evening. Listen, if you can, go ahead and drop where you are joining in from. I see some people on Zoom. I see some people on Facebook, and I'm inviting and pinging some people on the Clubhouse room. So go ahead, y'all, come on in the room. Say hello. Don't be shy. Let us know where you are joining from. We are excited to have you. And then I'm going to kick it off to my good girlfriend over there, and she's going to introduce herself as well. Hello, everybody. So good to see you all. I see y'all coming in the Clubhouse room. I see the Facebook numbers going up. I see it. Hey, y'all. Hey, we're going to talk about transition tonight. We're going to talk about transitioning tonight. God put this on our spirit. Well, put it on my heart a while back, and then but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a little bit, just in case you guys missed the first installment of this series. But again, my name is Sharisa T, and I am so honored to be able to be with you guys on yet another night to talk about transitioning. And I want to introduce my good girlfriend. So I'm going to go ahead and let her come on and tell us who she is. What does she do? And while you guys are coming on in, listen, y'all go ahead and share, tag, like, invite, share it on Clubhouse, share it on Facebook, tag some people here. This is a conversation you don't want to miss. Well, hello, my good sister. Go ahead and let the people know who you are.
All right, let me come. Okay. All right, I'm on Clubhouse and I'm on Zoom, so I'm good to go. All right, so, running multiple devices, this is interesting, okay? So I am Shatara S. Clark. I am the owner of Ty Writes LLC, all things writing. I'm also the CEO of Ty Talks, a 501c3 nonprofit. I was an educator for 10 years. I currently work as a grant evaluator, which I'm totally enjoying currently. And I am just glad to be here. I'm so grateful for the obedience of my sister Sharisa for inviting me, for having me here tonight. I am just excited about the conversation we're going to have and how we're going to play a major role in helping you pivot, encouraging ourselves in this season as well about our own pivots, our own transitions that are taking place. So I'm just grateful and just happy to be here. And I'm just ready to get this thing rolling. I'm excited and I'm glad you're here. Thank you for coming.
Yes, we love you. We thank you so much for joining. Listen, hey, go ahead. I see you guys. Hello, Rashida on Clubhouse. I see you all. I can't really tell who's on the Facebook Live, but I see you guys, and we have some people on the Zoom. Again, thank you so much. Listen, so how did we get here? How did we get to Let's Transition, the Educators edition? So a while back, God put on my heart to talk about transition. And as I was praying, he flashed Shatara's face in front of me. And when I tell you, man, I didn't really know everything that was going on. I know that she is a mover and shaker just like me. And I know that she was, getting some things done. And then when I told her what the topic was, that's when she was like, girl, I'm in a transition myself. And we just start catching up because she and I, we've known each other for quite some time. However, we don't talk every day. But when we do and we connect and God connects us and tell me, hey, reach out, or hey, let's do something, man, it is just phenomenal. So I reached out to her because her face was flashed before me. And little did I know that she was going through a pivotal transitioning time. She said that she's an educator, and you guys know that, most of you all know, that's my first passion, education. But last year around this time, I pivot from my career, 16 years of education, to the entrepreneurship world. And so as we are talking tonight, I know you're going to hear a lot about education and the educational career journey, but also too, I think even if you're not an educator, I think that this word or what we're going to talk about tonight can be for you. So don't fret if you are listening and you're not an educator. I believe this theme, this word, this pivot moment, will be for you guys. So I see some people saying on Zoom. So this is in webinar form. So you guys can only see us two. You won't be able to see anybody else. So you won't be able to see the attendees. You will only see the speakers for now. So for those of you who are on Zoom, but we do see your questions and things coming in the chat. So thank you guys so much for joining. And again, we see those people who are on Facebook Live and Clubhouse. Listen, we are, like she said, we are manning several devices. So just bear with us as we're looking down, if we're looking to the side. But we're going to get this party started. Are you guys ready for what God wants to say to us on this night about the word transition? If you are ready, those of you who are on Facebook, you can put ready. Those of you who are on Clubhouse, the chat room is open. You can put there. And those of you who are on Zoom, come on. Put ready in the chat if you are ready to hear what God is going to say on this night. Hey y'all, I see y'all on there. It is. I see y'all. I see Kimberly. Come on. Kimberly says she is ready. Hey Rashida, we need to talk. I try. Okay, yeah, we need to talk, baby girl. I see you, Tanisha. Hey, Mercedes. I see y'all ready. Y'all ready for this word? I believe God is speaking to us. Many of you guys who have been following me, I've been talking about transitioning for a while. And I asked the question when I sent the emails out, are you ready to pivot? Are you sensing a shift? Are you ready for the move? Are you ready for the shift? And you may not be thinking, you may be thinking this is about moving from a career to another place, but it's not all about that. And so it's not just about moving or changing your career or jobs or things like that. It's just shifting in general, shifting in life, shifting your perspective. And so we have a whole plan for you guys on tonight. And we're going to start off with this famous question. I think Shatara, I think the people are ready. We're going to start off with this famous question. What in the world is transition? If you had to define it, if you had to put a word to it, what is transition? Hey, y'all pop in the chat. What y'all think transition means what does it mean to you? What does transition mean to you? And then as you guys are popping them in the chat or in the rooms, I'm gonna say them out, and then Shatara and I are going to start our conversation about transition. If you can tell me, what does the word transition mean to you? What does it mean to you? Don't be shy. Talk. Don't be shy. Come on. What does the word transition mean to you? Okay, I see Mercedes says moving into another place. Okay. Yeah. Moving. I love that word. Moving from one place. Kimberly says from one place to another. Yeah. Anybody else? Transitioning. Ooh, the end of something, but also a start. My Tanisha, the end of something, but also a start. I love that. Shatara, let me kick it off to you. I'm going to let you start this conversation today. Tell the people, what does the word transition means to you?
Okay, first I want to say I love when you said that a lot of times people see it as moving from one job or something, or this drastic career change. And even though we're doing this for the educators tonight, hold on, I have some feedback going on. Okay, although we're doing this for the educators tonight, I think I made a post right before this, and I said this is not just about, you know, saying okay, we're leaving education or anything like that. This is for those who just moving into their next, whatever that may be. That could still be in education. It could be in a higher field in education, an advancement, a promotion. It could be even some people end up or like to go back to the classroom. So it could be a number of things. It doesn't have to mean that we're actually leaving something or that, you know, we're telling you that it's time to do that. Like, we don't know exactly what brought you here, but whatever the case is, you're feeling the urge for some type of transition. Okay. So, which brings me to my definition of transition, which is a change in your current situation that can be sudden or planned, but it's oftentimes necessary or inevitable. So again, that's a change in your current situation that can be sudden or planned, but it's oftentimes necessary or inevitable. And what I mean by that is a transition is a change, right? We know that something's happening, something's changing. You may have planned for the transition. You may have said, okay, I'm moving out of this house into another house. You made a financial plan for it. You went house shopping. You hired a realtor. Like, even if you're planning for another job, you updated your resume. You uploaded to these different search engines. You did these different things to plan for that change. Or it can be sudden. There have been times where you can be uprooted out of something and you did not necessarily plan for that to happen like that, but it happened to prompt a transition. Sometimes it won't happen unless it's forced. A lot of times people won't necessarily move on their own. Sometimes it has to be a push, and unfortunately, sometimes a rug has to be pulled away from up under you. The safety net has to fall through to get you to make that transition that you were supposed to make. And we don't like it. It's not so great. It don't feel good, but we can't get out of that place if we don't. Like, I'm a living witness to that. Like, literally, I can remember years ago in grad school working at Walgreens, and I was working there and I wanted to quit so bad, but I wouldn't quit. But I wanted a new job. Like, I really, really wanted a new job, but I wouldn't quit. And I ended up losing the job. And I was like, dang, this so messed up. But then, because I ended up losing the job, it forced me then to really start searching for anything, because at first I was just searching for certain jobs. So because I lost the job, I started just looking for whatever. But that whatever that I found put me in a position that I worked for 1 year, which landed me a major internship with the United States Air Force, which held me down into a new position until I graduated grad school with my education degree. So literally, had that not happened, had the rug not been pulled away from under me, I would have never made the transition to take the job that otherwise I would have never took. But I just needed something. But that needed something led to so many other things. So again, sometimes it can be sudden, sometimes it can be planned. But whatever the case may be, the transition is oftentimes necessary. It had to happen. Like, there was something either you needed to gain or somebody else needed to gain from it. Like, it could have been a number of things. It could have been several things, but at some point, somebody needed to gain something. So that's why it was necessary and inevitable, meaning that it can't then stop it from happening. The transition is gonna happen whether you want to or not. We can't stop it. We can't do nothing. We wake up. It just has to happen. So I think once we can accept those things about transition, it will help us to be able to make that pivot and be comfortable in making it. So that's my definition.
Girl, you better come on here and drop these nuggets. Yes. Oh my goodness. So it's amazing how she said that the change was going to happen. It's inevitable. That is so true, because if I think about the word transition, I'm thinking my definition would be the process or period of changing from one state to another. And I think about my journey as an educator. I started teaching in 2005. Immediately after college, I went straight into teaching. And then along the way, other shifts started to happen in my life. I started to have different roles, I start taking on different opportunities, and things started to happen that got me to this place where I am today. So one of the things, it started probably at my church, where I became, I don't want to say I wasn't a youth pastor, but I was a youth director. I was in charge of the children at my church. And normally, I guess I can see that because I work with children. That was my job. And so, they started to wanted me to use me in that capacity at church with the children. And so that's what I did. I did that for a few years. And then and that was more like a leadership role. So I was a teacher, which is a leader. You're a leader in your classroom, but as a leader in the church, that's when things kind of start shifting for me. Once I took that, my teacher had and brought it into the church realm, I kind of started stepping into leadership that way. And then as I went from being the church youth director, then I started being a leader as a small group host. And this is where not only was I wasn't working with children anymore, I started working with adults, and I started leading adults closer to Christ. So my role changed from being kind of like a teacher in the classroom working with kids to this leader working with adults. And I can work with children all day, but working with adults is a little, it's a little bit different. It's a whole different realm. But once I started to do that, God started calling me out in my educational realm, because I went from being a teacher to grade level chair, grade level leader. And then I went to become the ARI coach, where came out of the classroom, and the reading coach came out of the classroom, and I started working with adults for the last 3.5 years at my previous, well, that wouldn't be my previous school, but the first school I ever taught. I became that reading coach. And there things started to groom, because I started to shift into this teacher working with small children to working with adults. So leadership really changed and shift for me in a lot of different ways. And so when I think about my definition of transition, the process or a period of changing, all that time when I accepted my position in 2005, I had no idea that I would be a grade level leader, a youth director, a leader of a small group, a leader of a ministry, an AR coach, to what I do now. And so my transition, and what I'm trying to get you guys to see, is that it's always a transition, always happens. It's not stopping. You go from one level to another. You go from one realm to another. So even as a teacher in the classroom, I still had to pivot, because I had to now think about, oh, wait, I got to start working with the adults and not working with the children. That was a shift alone for me. But it was one that I really loved. I love being an ARI coach. I love being the reading coach. I still had children who I worked for and was able to pull, but my main goal was to really work with those adults. So transitions are always happening. And I love what you said, Shatara, because you said something about it doesn't always mean you're going from one job to another. It could be you shifting a position, just like I'm telling you, or shifting from which point that I want to make to people, from being in the back to the front, being the person that people see the most. I used to look at other people as a teacher in the classroom, teaching me things and showing me how to do something. And then I became the person you get what I'm saying? So that was a shift for me. And so shifts happen in many different ways. And at the time, and one thing I do know about the shifts with me, I knew that I was a leader. I just ran from it. I didn't really want it because y'all come on now, working with children is easy. Working with little people is easy. But these adults, come on, Shatara, these adults, honey, it's a whole different ball game. So I mean, the the shift is real, man. The shift is real, but I'm grateful for it because, again, like I said, I walked you through just a little bit of my journey as an educator. But I want you to get it that it's always happening. It's not just you're moving from one time to the next. You're always shifting, whether you're shifting, even with what I'm doing now as a full-time entrepreneur. My mindset started to shift, and we're going to talk about that, how I got out of education. As far as, well, I can't really say that I'm out of education. We'll talk about that too. But how I got out of the school system, let me just say it like that. How I got out of the school system. So even that was a shift for me. So shifts happens just all the time. There's just different facets or different parts of your life where you just have to shift. I see y'all in the comments. Yeah, you just have to shift, man. It's a crazy thing. And I'm spiritual, y'all. I love my daddy Jesus, so I'm gonna talk about him. But when God calls you or has a higher calling on your life, man, he will put you in some of the most uncomfortable places to get you where he really wants you to be. And so my journey had my whole career was uncomfortable. But Jesus, I don't know if we need to be talking about this, but it was just uncomfortable. I had some very, very uncomfortable situations in the realm of education. I really did. And so when my mindset started to shift to I wanted something different from myself. I saw myself differently, and doing things different. And I saw myself coaching. I saw myself making my own schedule. I saw that for years before I actually walked into it. And glory to God, I can say today that I'm doing that now. I see me making my own schedule. I see me, if I need to cancel something or being able to take off, I can do that. Being underneath in a school, it was hard to do that. You had the days or you couldn't have the time, just certain period. It's just a whole different ball game. But the shift is bound to happen. And sometimes we have to get uncomfortable, like sis said, to push us in that transition. And so don't fight it. Many of you know exactly where you should be or where you're sensing yourself to be, whether it's in another role or if it's in another position or if it's in another setting. You shift, you feel it, you sense it. It's just you just being kind of like embracing it, I would say, and allowing him to move you to that point A to point B. Because again, like sis said, change is inevitable. It's going to happen. The shift is going to happen whether you like it or not. So let's move. Let's move. If this conversation is good already to you guys, drop it in the chat. Let me know. Man, I'm just telling you, I'm so excited about this conversation, Shatara, because we've been talking about how both of us are educators, and she is doing some things, and I'm gonna toss the mic back to her. But we've been talking about how we had to pivot just within the last few moments of our lives. And when I came to Shatara back in, when was that, March? I want to say that was March. Was it March or February? Well, it was sometime back in there. When God flashed her face before me, and I was telling her, I said, girl, God told me to do something. He told me I had to do it with you. And she reached out to, and she was like, oh my goodness, this transition is my word. Transition was my word. What you said, my word for the year. And I'm like, what? And so I'm looking at the phone like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So Shatara, come on off and talk to the people about um transitioning being your word for the year. How did we get here?
Okay, so every year the Lord gives me a word. He gives me a word for the year, and normally it's something that keeps occurring, like it keeps happening. One year it was revelation. Literally, so much stuff was being revealed to me, be it people, be it situations. It was just back to back to back revelations, and it was a hard one for me. So of course, transition has been hard as well. But last year in December, so my nonprofit hosts a goal setting roundtable every year, like as close to the end of the year as possible, depending on where we're having it. And this year, a lot of my goals I started to see involved moving some type of way. It involved changes that were going to happen in my life. And then the Lord spoke transitions. It's going to be a year of transition. And I was like, what? And so I declared that my word. I declared it my word in that room that day to the other women that were there. I declared it to my coach. I was like, transition is my word for the year. I said it multiple times, like multiple times. And so when Sharita reached out to me and was like, hey, the Lord put you in my face. And I'm like, hey, what? So I even forgot, y'all, to reach back out to her. It was late at night. And I was like, girl, I hope you're not asleep. I totally forgot what's up. And when she told me, I said, girl. And let me tell you, in that moment, I didn't even remember the transition was my word. I told my coach about it, and she said, the fact that she's asking you to speak on your word. And I was like, let me text her right now and tell her that's my word. Like, it didn't even occur to me until later that this whole event is my word for the year. And it is. And like the transitions I have experienced, like, okay, so since 2019, it was heavy on me about education. And she said she didn't leave education. You know what? I don't think you ever truly leave education. Like, I don't think. So I won't even say I truly left education, because I find myself in more schools now than ever before in my current job. So yeah, but I felt the need to leave the traditional school district classroom setting in 2019. I felt that tug on my heart. And it was hurtful. It was surprising and hurtful, because when it comes to education in most degree fields, you go to school for that, and that is what you do, and then you retire, and sometimes you go do it in another state, or or you do something different. So it was weird to me that I was feeling that way, but I didn't know what to do. So at that time, I was already working on my administrative certification. So I had started working on that, because I was like, okay, so since I guess I just need to get out the classroom. If I can get out the classroom, if I can pass this admin test, I can get out the classroom or whatever. So that's what I did. I completed the admin program in 2020. And of course, the pandemic hit, which threw us for a loop in education for sure. So that was different. I did the pandemic year, but I still felt that tug. I still felt that want for something else, that desire to make some type of transition. And every day I would feel it. I would feel it, especially on Sundays. I had the Sunday scaries. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but that's that Sunday night where you can't breathe, you can't do nothing. You can't look at the computer, not pertaining to anything to do with what's causing the Sunday scaries. The anxiety is really heavy. There was a lot of crying. It was rough. And y'all, the crazy part about the Sunday scaries is when Monday would come and I would get to work, it was like it never happened. And I could go through the whole week and do it all over again on Sunday. It was the craziest thing ever. And don't let me be the went out of town that weekend and got to come up off a trip. Oh man, it was at an all-time high. And I was irritable, like it was really bad. And so I just was dealing with it, literally just dealing with it. I was talking to a therapist at the time, telling her how I was feeling. And then God was just like, okay, so when are you going to get serious about looking? When are you going to get serious about the transition? You said that's your word for the year. You declared it, I gave it to you. And so I started looking, I got serious, and the rest is history. Like, And, even with getting a new job, I was of course, it was still scary. Transitions are going to be scary. I can't tell you that they're not, even when you're sure that that's what you need to do. And it was hard for me to go and resign and do all those things. Like, it was difficult, but you have to, at some point, I will say choosing me was the best thing that I could do for myself. Like, regardless of the fact, in that moment, I chose me above everything else, everybody else, every other option. I literally fought for my life. I chose me. I weighed everything and I chose me. And a lot of times, especially if you're an educator, you rarely ever choose yourself. Rarely ever. You always thinking about the next man. You always thinking about, be it your supervisor, be it the kids, be it whatever, you're always thinking about, be it the district, you always thinking about somebody else. You're rarely ever choosing you. You giving a lot of energy, space, time, emotion. You're giving a lot every day. And if at some point that's not being refilled, then you're going to lose yourself in this fight. And it's so important for you to do that. Even those of you who are on here who are, want to transition to higher positions in education, still remember that you're going to have to figure out how to choose yourself. You got sick leave, you got all this stuff, take it, it's worth it. The wear and tear that educators do on their bodies, it's just so important. The worry in the back of our head, even with yesterday, I was working out actually. And at the end of my workout, I literally just sat in my car and cried because I was on social media and I saw one thing, and I won't even say what it was, but it just struck me hard. And I went and sat in my car and cried for about 5 to 10 minutes. And, and again, my heart went out to educators across the world. Yeah, of course, my heart went out to the parents, families, and that too. But my heart went out to educators because you know what? They're coming in them buildings every day, every single day. They don't have the choice to just say, okay, I don't want to teach in this district no more. I'm going to go to the next district and go over there. Kids can transfer. Kids can stay at home. They can, I just feel like it's more options. But for educators, that's your job. That's your livelihood. That's how you keep the lights on. So you got to get up and go. And and I know their hearts were heavy. I know it was scary this morning, and it's just all of those things and more, but it's a job. It's a job like any other job. It's service. It's, it's giving. It's a lot of give and take. It's like a relationship. And at the end of the day, I always used to say it's challenging yet rewarding because y'all, the relationships I have built, y'all, everything y'all see right here, from this makeup on my face to this hair on my head to the braids that's under it, my former students did it. My former student did my makeup this morning. My former student did my hair. My former students did the braids that's under my former students. So, the relationships I have built over the years, I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, so it's a beautiful job that we do and we've done, y'all. And I definitely wouldn't trade it, but it is, yes, challenging yet rewarding in the end. And I just, my heart just goes out forever. And like I said, we'll never be out of education. It's just something that is always like you pledge your life to it. Once you start, you can't get away. But, there are so many different areas and so many different fields for it. And I think a lot of us need to get in positions where we can be change agents for it, because some changes need to take place. And I feel like not enough teachers have a say in those changes. And that's a big issue. So yeah, that's my spiel on that.
It's the politics for me. It's the politics for me, man. You said a whole mouthful, and it's so amazing how you sharing your story. And you talked about, did you say year 29? That was 2019. Okay, so for me in 2019, I was in a very big transitional place. I was at my then current school in a great position, a reading coach position. And I had been at this school that was my first job, my first job. Like I did my internship there from college and I went straight into teaching at this particular school and I stayed there for 14 years. And it was that year 14, that 2019, 2018, 2019 school year, I think it was. Oh Lord, I think. Yeah, I think that was. But it was a very challenging year. And one thing that I've learned about me, I tend to carry the weight of others. And so as a coach, and I'm seeing things that are happening to um, teachers who are 1 year in the game. Well, I won't even say 1 months in the game. And when people started to come to me and they would share, well, let me back. I know the gift that I have, that people do come and they share some intimate details with me. And sometimes when people share those things, that's just my gift and my calling, it weighs heavy on me. And I met this one particular person. I don't know if she's watching or online or here, now, but what happened was she was having a very hard year, and she was a first year educator. And I saw her passion and her love for education kind of like dwindle. You know how when you first start something and you so excited, you got that spark in your eye and you so bubbly and you ready to go. Well, this particular individual started like that, but then over the course of months, maybe in even half in the school year, she was ready to quit. And it was just so hard. And I just did not like what was happening to her. I did not like what was going on. I did not like what was happening to her. And there were things that was going on with me. And for personal reasons, I won't share everything because some of these people may be on my timeline. They may be watching. But at any rate, it is what it is. But that year was hard for a lot of us. A lot of us. I know it was about 6 or 7 people who was having a very hard time that school year. And that weighed on me. And I was also in a place of transitioning because God was showing me some things and I wanted something different. I was ready for something else. And so I got quiet about some things and I didn't tell a whole lot of people, but I did share with some people that I was getting ready to change school systems. And so I sat on it. When I say I sat on it from January up until May, a lot of people think my change happened like that, but they don't even understand. It was in January of 2019 when the job offer was given, to me. And so I wrestled with it because, it weighed on me. I was at this school for 14 years. I had built relationships. You talked about, but relationships with parents, relationships with teachers. I knew how it was with those kids. I knew how it was going to affect those, those people. And all of those things weighed on me, but I was sensing a shift. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad that I did, because had I not moved from that place to another place, I wouldn't be sitting in the place that I am right now. And so I'm so glad that I was able to shift. Now, let me go back to that moment in time when it was time for me to change schools, y'all. It was when I say fight all the way to the end. One, because I was getting very uncomfortable. I can be honest, I was in a very comfortable place. I was that year was comfortable. It was very comfortable for me. So going into a new realm, very new school, didn't know really anybody. That was scary for me. That was something like, woo, okay, you really gonna do this, Sharisa? You've been at this school for years. And so when this shift started to happen for me in 2019, those are the voices that I had to fight with. I had to fight with the voices of, are you going to really get over here and move into this position? Are you going to go to this charter school? You know what people say about charter schools. You know what people say about these type of schools. I had all this stuff in my ear, but I had to get quiet because I was sensing a shift. Had I not shift and pivot in 2019, in 2022, I wouldn't be the entrepreneur that I am right now, because I would have still, and I don't know, I can't say that, but I do know that that was another part of my journey, was shifting from one place to another. So I got into my new school, was there, was loving it, was there, made new friends, enjoying the moment. I was back in the classroom, I wasn't coaching anymore. I met some amazing people. One of my good, my co-teacher, she's on here, Tanisha, we developed a relationship and we have been like that since. And so I was there for a year, and then I went into that second year, and things were very little heavy for me. Again, so a shift was happening then, but this time, God was not only shifting me out of a school system, he was shifting me into a place of my own. And though I still work with children, I tutor children, whether they are homeschool or in grade school, I still have a little say within education, which is a lot of things that was very like, yucky for me. Like I just had a yucky feeling. It was just it was a hard time for me. And I knew, I remember I think I can say this now. I kept this in for a while. I remember when I had made the decision that I was going to leave my second school. I only been in two. This is my second year in this school, and I knew I was getting ready to leave. And I remember the graduation day, and I had parents talking to the principal like, "You gonna be my child's teacher next year?" And I'm sitting there like, like, oh well, yeah, okay. But I knew what I had to do. But that was one of the most scariest moments for me, to shift from having a paycheck at this other school. We were getting paid, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus, twice a month. Many of you were in education get paid once a month, and that is a stretch. So we was getting paid bi-weekly. And so I knew that check was coming. And going from having a constant set of income into working into your own thing, man, that was another. So in order for me to make the transition into entrepreneurship, I had to be able to leave something for 14 years where I was comfortable, go to another place and work for 2 years until I was able to really get the confidence, because God was really building me up step by step to get to where I am now. That leap for 14 years, and I'll tell you exactly what he told me. You mean to tell me that you left something of 14 years and you scared to jump for these two? If I provided for you these whole 14 years, took you out of this place, gave you another job, and provided for you there, don't you think if you take this other jump, I won't keep providing for you? I think I told Shatara about the contract that I had with a family, and I was nervous. I was like, oh, Jesus. Many of you guys don't know that contract was in writing since February, March, or somewhere along that time. And that was 2021, last year, 2021. My first biggest contract I ever had in my life was in 2021. And I was like, Jesus. And I knew for months that I was going to be shifting out of this particular school system, but I couldn't tell everybody because I didn't want to have, how you start telling people, and you start telling people what's going on. Many people in God connects you with some people know what's happening. Even they said they don't say it, they could see it on your life. But some people, when you have like a desire or a dream, or God is shifting you in an area and you start to ramble off at the mouth, people can start putting their thoughts and their ways in your mind, and it will make you doubt what you're getting ready to do. But I had my woes, I had my sisters, my good friends who was like, girl, God is good. Come on here. This was a leap of faith for me. It was a leap of faith for the family. It was a leap of faith for me to get to where I am today. And so, man, let me tell y'all, when you are transitioning, you have to just continue to trust God. God through it. Like, you're going to have to be really like embrace that thing and just allow him to do whatever he's going to do. Because what was happening, God was putting me in some yucky stuff that was really upsetting me, that was really making me so angry. And I was so hurt. And I saw so many people get burned, so many people get leave, and people not really caring about their people on staff. And don't call them, don't check on them. People having, it was just crazy. And God made me get into that uncomfortable space so that he can birth me and push me into purpose. And so you just have to embrace it. Just surrender, like surrender to the wheel and surrender into the shift. Like, if God is calling you to a place, if you're sensing yourself going from one realm to the next, or one position to the next, take it. We are sometimes, man, fear is our biggest enemy, and it will stop us from so many things. We have to be able, and I know I'm talking good, we have to be able to press past the fears of what people are going to say, the fears of what has happened to us in the past, the fears, man, if you're feeling like you're unqualified, or you're not good enough, or you don't have this degree and you don't have this experience, man, listen, push past all of that. Forget all of that. Just step out and do what it is that he's telling you to do. Step out. I feel God right now. Step out and go forth, man. Just move with him. Many of us, we are stuck. We're not using all of our gifts. Listen, let me tell y'all something. I have some people, and they probably listen to me. Girl, you wear many hats. You this, you that. I do. God called me to be multifaceted, and I am okay with that. At first, I used to be like, man, why y'all doing? I didn't learn how to step into that thing. I am multifaceted. Even as an educator, I start tutoring children. Even as an educator, I became an author. Even as an educator, I became a CEO, a visionary. Even in my career, what are y'all waiting on? Listen, I feel this. Listen, you getting paid what you're getting paid, and sometimes it's not enough, and we're wondering why we stuck, we can't move, we can't go forward. Do what it is that you need to do. Step into that realm, step into your calling, stop sitting on your gifts. That is one of my points that I was going to share, and I just feel led to go ahead and share it. Come out of hiding. Stop hiding. Stop sleeping on yourself. You can be a full-time teacher and a CEO. Hello, somebody, you're looking at two of them. You can be a full-time teacher and an entrepreneur. Hello, somebody, you're looking at two. You can be a full-time employee and still work your business. You can do it. Stop sitting on your gifts. A lot of us are sitting on things, and we're not moving into and getting in the right position where God is taking us, or where we need to be. Listen, use the tools that God has given you to get out of any situations that you may be in. Use those things. I didn't know when I started. I told you guys, God started shifting me in leadership. I didn't know my yes to leading a small group was going to be a yes to running a whole ministry. I didn't know that back then. I didn't know my yes to tutoring that one child once a week was going to lead me now tutoring about 50 clients. Hello, somebody. I did not know that, but I took the small steps every day to get to that big goal. Like, move into the things that God is calling you to do. Many of the teachers, and Shatara and I, we talked about this. Teachers are just creative. We're creative, man. We can do spreadsheets. We can do all these different types of things. Don't you know it's people out there that need what you have? We are organizers. We are planners. We create. We come up. We can make a game on the drop of a dime. We can think of a song about nouns to help. We can do a whole lot of stuff. We some of us are just sitting on our gifts and sitting on our talents and not allowing you to be, use it to its full capacity. I believe the transition that God is wanting to do in this season, and you all who are listening now or catching this replay, is you getting up from where you are right now and start moving. That's why I believe Shatara talked about transition was her word for this year. Last year, I don't know if I told you this on the last one, but on last year, God had told me it was time to move. For the word for my ministry in 2021 was movement. I didn't get it then, but I got it. I get it now. You know what I'm saying? He gave me that word the end of 2020. And I'm like, God, it's a whole pandemic out here. What do you mean move? What do you mean move? It was a lot of shifting that was happening, even in my own life, from going from career up into entrepreneurship. But we just got to start making the small moves every day. How many of us have these big grand ideas in our mind, or better yet, let me talk to the educators, want to be in some type of role, but you won't do what it is that you need to do. You won't go to school to get the degree. You won't sacrifice that time to go do what you want to do. Or you may be an educator and you may have a I don't know, some type of business inside of you. Maybe you create earrings, or you do some, I don't know, you're creative. You're good at planning events, or you're good at different things. But we sometimes just sit and don't do anything with it. Man, when are we going to wake up? It's like it's time to wake up. Don't you understand? People are leaving this world. Don't you understand? The great resignation is real. Like these teachers are up. I'm not just going to say teachers, because it's not people, just in general, man. People out here are fed up with some things, and they're like, no, I have something different. I see something different for myself. So let me get up from where I am and let me move into something greater. Millions are attached to my name. Why am I sitting here just allowing living from paycheck to paycheck and robbing people that are PayPal? This poverty mindset. It's time to transition. It's time to shift into where God is calling you. And so if I could have leave a point with you guys, something that God has just been sharing with me, is to come out of hiding. Utilize wherever you are. You may be a teacher, you may be someone who works at a bank or at a store, you may be an entrepreneur, you may be a leader, but use the gifts that you have now. What else is it that you're shifting and sensing God, or sensing that it's time for you to do? Pivot. Make the change, make the transition, even if it's a small step, even if it's writing it down on paper. That's a shift right there. It take a lot just to put that thing on paper and say, Lord, do you sure this is what you want? Okay. It takes a lot for you to just do that. Come on here, somebody. It is time for us to transition, man. It is time for us to come out of hiding. We are hiding, and we are called to be a light that cannot be hidden. Go into that building, man, like you own it. Walk up in that class, be the leader, be the person who God is calling you to be. Be that boss, be that entrepreneur, be that CEO, be that teacher, be that coach. If you see a leadership position in education, walk in there with that hat on. Walk in there with saying, hey, I got this. I know I can do it. Boss up, like walk in there and do what it is that you're called to do. Stop dumbing down your gifts. Stop hiding yourself. Stop putting yourself on the back burner. Stop letting people throw these darts and these things at you to make you feel some kind of way, man. Listen, forget all of that. Be who God has authentically called you to be, and be it well. I'm gonna toss that thing to Shatara.
Listen, hold on, let me get my clubhouse going. Okay, listen, I'm gonna piggyback off of something you said about you can be an educator, or you can be whoever and still be a CEO. Don't let anybody guilt trip you into feeling like you can't do both. That was my biggest pet peeve, was when people tried to come for me like I couldn't do both. And this is how they would say it. Just be mindful of it now. I know you got a lot going on. Don't do that. Don't do that because you friends with me on social media and you think you know all about my life and my time management and this and that. Don't come for me. I know you got a lot going on, but we got and let me tell you, like, somebody did try to do me like that, and I was really like pissed off, like, for real. I have to admit my flesh was very disturbed because and I was just like, don't do that. But let me tell you how God will do it. I end up being featured in Voyage ATL magazine and winning Teacher of the Quarter in the same week. And I made a post about, don't let nobody tell you that you can't vote. I might reshare it in the coming days. So that was the confirmation for me. Don't try to play me like I can't do both. This is proof. Okay. So don't do it. And say, don't let nobody do that to you. I put it in your head that, something's at stake because you're not doing something, because you're busy building a brand or building a legacy for yourself. Like, people who don't have a life will try to do that to you. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Don't let them do that to you though. But I did want to talk about my 3 tips for transitioning. So, number 1, transition can start before you're ready. And these are kind of like the ones I used last time, but I'm gonna try to put a twist on them for my educator, since we did say this was for the educators. All right, it can start before you're ready. So remember how I said in 2019 I started feeling the pressure? I wasn't trying to go nowhere though. Like, I was tenure based on Alabama law. Who I'm going? Like, what you mean I ain't happy no more? What you mean I'm disturbed? Like, what you mean the Sunday scares? What you mean? Like, I gotta ride this thing out for the rest of my days of working. I wasn't ready for the transition at all. And so, but it started happening. It was happening literally within me. And even y'all, I'm telling y'all, when it's time, it's so much little stuff gonna be happening. You're gonna be like, what in the world? It's literally like God is going to be pushing you or hitting you in your back until you go ahead and do what you're supposed to do. Like, it will not let up. It's something every day. Every time you look up, it will be something. And that is how like, I'm in this transition and I got to do something to shake this off of me, because it ain't gonna go away on its own. It's gonna be, and then stuff that wasn't a problem before is gonna become a problem. Like, that was the part that was crazy for me, because I'm like, wait a minute, now, I ain't never complained about this, and this been going on the whole time I've been here. So why is it an issue now? Like, literally, it will become an issue and you be looking like, where did it even come from? I'm telling you. So it's gonna start happening before you're ready for it. I'm talking about, you will start not getting grace in area where you was getting grace. Because let's be honest, nobody does everything right every day. Grace gonna run out. You can't be where grace ain't at. So you got to go. The Lord, now don't get me wrong, the Lord is covering, is going to be with you. But what I'm saying is, all jokes aside, is that you're going to start to really see that, you weren't as comfortable as you thought you were. That you weren't able to skate by on certain things like you thought you were. And, and that's a part of the transition, is that being a revelation, that being brought to the light. And it's going to help you to see that. So it can definitely start before you're ready. So you may not be ready for it, but it's going to happen. Okay, I'm going to get to that. Number 2, it will confuse people. If you're anything like me, when you walk into the building or wherever every day, there's a smile on your face that's a mile wide, regardless of how you feel on the way or how you felt the night before. Because you become who people are used to seeing. And so when the transition happened, it's gonna throw everybody for a loop, because like Sharisa just said, you can't be telling everybody. So, and that's another thing, you got to keep your ear to the ground and be quiet about it. You got to deal with God and maybe a few close friends, because when it happens, it's gonna confuse a whole lot of people because they ain't gonna see it coming. You know, even for my students, you know, they didn't see it, and well, honestly, they should have, because I was dropping a lot of hints in the classroom, but you know, I still don't think they saw it. So it, you know, it's gonna confuse people, but don't allow their confusion to guilt trip you. You know, you're gonna have people coming to you trying to change your mind and everything, like just because they confused, because they didn't see it coming, and you done seen it coming years down the road. It's not your issue that they didn't see it, because it wasn't their business. So they didn't have to see it. And if they're confused, that's not your business either. So don't let it bother you. Like, you're gonna be asked, I was asked all kinds of crazy questions. People are gonna ask crazy questions in and outside of the building. People who have never educated a day in their life are going to ask you questions. Like, you don't have to answer to anybody. You know, this is, again, like I said before, you're choosing you for whatever you decide, be it elevation in the field, be it something that, be it whatever it is that God is calling you to do. You don't owe anybody an explanation. Like, you're choosing you and what the Lord has said. So if they're confused, even my mom was confused. Y'all know, if you know me, you know I love my mama, but she just had to be confused for a while. And it's she's coming around. You know, it's taking time. But she's understanding now. But it took her a minute, because again, traditionally, you know, we go to school and we get these degrees and people expect us to go to work. And if that changes even the slightest bit, it confuses people. Now, that's my mama, so I did explain to her multiple times, because that's my mother. But anybody else, no. You know, I wanted my mother to be at peace and at ease about my decision. I don't want her worrying about me, you know? So, and that's not fair to her, because she's my mother. Again, she gave me life. So, but anybody else, people can be confused all they want to. And here's the thing though, those few little people you're gonna tell, when you talk to them about how you're feeling, because you're gonna have to tell somebody, because you can't hold that stuff in. It gets heavy. It gets real heavy. You have to talk to God ordained people though. You got to talk to the people that he allows you to speak to. And those people will not be confused. They're going to respect what you're saying. They're going to listen to what you're saying. They're going to sympathize with you. And even if they can't say nothing, I had one of my friends, when I told her, she didn't say anything, but it didn't bother me that she didn't say anything, because she listens to me. But when I came back and told her that I was leaving, she was like, I'm so glad for you. She said, because when you told me you weren't happy, she said, I couldn't say anything. I was just so sad. She was just so sad for me that she couldn't say anything, but she was sad because she understood, she listened. So those people are not going to be confused. They're going to be like, man, friend, listen, we're going to pray. We're going to pray this thing out. You know, that's what they're going to do for you. So it's important for you to be able to discern who you talk to. And there was something else I had to say about that. It's going to come back to me, but you just got to discern. You got to be very mindful. And then some people don't think that you want their opinion on the matter. That's what I was going to say. Don't talk to them either. Like those people, you know who those people are in your life who think you asking them for permission. No. You're not doing that. You just need to talk because you're in the wilderness. That's it. When you come out, those are the people who are able to listen, not cast judgment, did not feel like you asking their opinion or their permission to do it. Those are the people that are going to take you out to dinner to celebrate. That was about 7 or 8 people for me. Let's celebrate. I want to take you out to eat. I'm happy that you stepped out on faith. I'm happy that you did this. I'm happy. Where you want to go eat at? Come on, let me get you a gift card. Let me do this. Those people that's going to celebrate because they see it as a win. They're not pessimistic and worrying to death about it. They see it as a win because you chose you. So just be mindful of that. Also, transition is more necessary than you know. I said in my definition that it's oftentimes necessary or inevitable. It's way more necessary because sometimes it's almost like life or death. Like, are you going to stay here and die? We know the story. We know the children of Israel. We know that, they left because of their disobedience. They stayed in the wilderness all those years. They could not transition to the promised land right away because they had to get all of their issues together. We don't want to be like that. We want to go. We want to make the necessary changes so we don't be wandering around all them years going in circles like they were. No, you don't want to do that. And some people are going to do that, and that's okay. That's the other thing too. We can't get caught up in what our neighbor's doing. I had a friend that talked about how, sometimes we feel bad because of who we're leaving behind. A lot of times, like, dang, that's my friend. That's my dog. I can't leave him. Yeah. You're still going to be their friend, whether you're there or not, if y'all are friends. Y'all still going to be cool. They still going to be cheering for you. You still going to be cheering for them. Listen, my old co-workers children graduating. I'm sending gifts by Amazon. I'm cash apping. I'm doing all that because them still my dogs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm still going to ride for them. I'm still making sure they straight. Like, you still going to be their friend. That nothing has to change. If you were their friend from the beginning, if they were your friend. So don't feel bad. If they were your friend, they still gonna talk to you. They're not gonna get to acting funny. Nobody should be acting funny in the situation. So, it's gonna be necessary. It's gonna start before you're ready, and it's gonna confuse people. But all of that is okay. And at the end of the day, you just gotta trust God. Like, I'm just gonna be honest, like, you just gotta trust them, and like Sharisa said, if I took care of you all them years, what make you think I'm gonna take care of you now? Like, I got you. If you would just trust me, and y'all, let me tell y'all something. And I'm trying not to get emotional because I don't even know where this is coming from. But, there are going to be seasons that are going to be tough, that have already been tough. You've already been through some of them. Okay, I'm going to say this because I do believe that we're under an open heaven right now. So go ahead and declare what you desire. Okay. But there have been seasons I know where it's been tough. And I know I've seen those seasons too. And you've wondered and you've been hurt because you made so many mistakes. But God is not short of rewards. And he's not short of giving you back for those seasons. I always believe that he's a God of restoration. He will restore all that has been lost, that he will come back around and he will give it to you again. He'll give you another chance at it. So what I'm trying to say is don't get caught up in, I made this mistake in the past, or I did this in the past, so I can't do this again. I made a rash decision then. Maybe I shouldn't do this now. Maybe I just need to wait a little bit longer because he's just a God that will restore all things. And I just want you to keep that in mind, and I'm gonna leave you with that. Y'all be blessed.
Yes, come on here, sis. Come on here, sis. Thank you so much. Yeah, like I could just piggyback off of the three things that she said. I know for me, like what God was telling me as far as like with the transition is, number one, just embrace it. She hinted on trusting God. You got to be able to take that leap of faith. You got to faith up. You got to embrace it, and you just got to faith up. You got to believe God is putting those things in the inside of you for a reason, for a purpose, and stop doubting yourself. Like, embrace the shift. Don't fight it. Embrace it, because we all, like she said, we've all been through some hard times, and we've had to make some hard decisions, or we made mistakes before, and we allow our mistakes to blur out our now. And God is like, listen, you've repented, I've forgiven you for that. It's time to move on, queen. It's time to move on, king. This is your next step. So trust him in the process. Embrace the transition. Will be one of my points. My next point, and I'll say it again, come out of hiding. Walk in there in your real authority, who God has called you to be. If God has called you to wear 16 hats, wear all 16 of them. You hear me? Wear them. Hey, everybody can't do it, but God graced you to do it. So show up in how he in your true authentic self. Be the CEO, be the educator, be the principal, be the coach, be the entrepreneur. Show up and be authentic, man. Stop hiding and doubting yourself. I said it again. I said it before. I said it again. It is time for the real you. Will the real you stand up? Will the will the real you Will the real you stand up? That means if God is calling you to, I don't know, become an author or start a business, and while you work your 9 to 5, do it. If God is calling you to leave the 9 to 5, do it. Trust him. I know how it is coming from having something, them coins dropping your checking account just like that versus you waiting on an invoice. I know it's a different realm, it's a different territory. But if God has called you, you say you sensing it, you sense it, you see it, it's a shift, you feel it. And if God is calling you to it, he's going to continue to provide. He's going to bring contracts and contracts and contracts. Listen, I started my business tutoring because I really was getting into some other things. I really wanted to be the coach, but God was blowing up thank you, Jesus. He blew up the tutoring business. He sent the people to me. Okay. He sent them to me. And so I said, okay, well, let me lean into what God is doing. I went from having 1 or 2 people to now managing 25, 30 children within maybe a week. How do you do that? I prioritize my time. I make sure that I schedule everything. I'm on a tight schedule. I can't be everything to everybody. Yes, Mercedes, it is God. God did that. I had to learn how to sacrifice. I had to learn how to cut some things off. I had to learn how to stop doing some things. I can't watch TV by the time I get off work from 4 to 10 o'clock. I can't do that. Like God was saying, hey, I'm shifting you in some areas. You got to get some structure. You got to get discipline. You got to get some things in place so that you can get to your next. So for those of you who are educators and you're looking to for a higher position, what are you doing now to get there? Are you sitting in rooms with people who have those type of positions? Are you learning? Are you gleaning? Are you reading? Are you going to school? Some of them you may have to have a different degree. You may not, just depends on what it is. But what are you doing to get to that next place? What are you doing if you are wanting to come from your job? What are you doing? Are you gleaning from the people who just took a leap? Are you studying what entrepreneurship looks like? Are you willing to work your business and have a full-time job or 9 to 5 or even a part-time? What are you willing to sacrifice in this season to do what it is that you are sensing that needs to be done? Many of you may be wanting to, write a book or, start a ministry. What are you doing to get in the flow of the shift? The shift doesn't you just don't wake up one day and you're an entrepreneur. No, it doesn't happen like that. You take small steps every day. What steps are you taking? Are you fighting it? Are you embracing it? Are you trusting? Are you going to trust God this time? Are you going to lean in or are you going to push back? And that's what we do sometimes. We push back because of previous mistakes or because we're doubting ourselves or because we feel unqualified or we're listening to voices. Sis said it. Get around people who going to uplift you. Get around people who can see the vision for you, who can confirm, girl, yes, I see that on your life. Yes. Not the people's like, are you sure that's what you? Mm-mm. If they questioning you, are you sure? Then that ain't it. Them ain't it, sis. Get around some people. Get around some people who can catch the vision for you, whether it's going to hurt them. You said something when you talked about leaving the workplace and leaving the job and leaving your friends, people behind. Listen, my first school, I built relationships. I was there for 14 years. How could I not? I have parents that are Facebook friends. I have children, students on my Facebook as my friends. Like they call me, we text from time to time. I have made real life connections, and moving from that one school to another was very difficult. I had all of those things I had to sift through, but I sensed it. And though I felt like I was in the fight of my life, I still moved and I saw the glory of God. And then with the next move that I made into going into entrepreneurship, sis said something too. She was like, her mom didn't understand. Well, for me, when I mentioned it to my mom, I will never forget. It was spring break, not this year, but last spring break. I mentioned to my mom that I was thinking about going to full-time entrepreneurship. She asked me one question. She said, well, what you gonna do about your retirement? She was talking about retirement, but then she came back and she said, well, you know what? You've been saying little things about it. When she opened her mouth and said that, I said, oh, Jesus, that is the sign from heaven above. Because that was my concern. I was very concerned about what my mom was going to say, Shatara, because my mama she like, listen, how you going to do this? What you going to do? What the plan is? You know, she's kind of like me. Like she has that control and she's thinking, you know, ahead of time. But when I told her, when we was in, I think we were in Tennessee, I think that's where we was. And now we were at the cabins and I told her that what I was thinking. And when she was like, oh, okay, yeah, I had to call my coach. I said, girl, I had been praying about my mama and her response to what I was about to tell her. And her response was so different. And I knew then that was nothing but God. God allowed her to be in a place to accept the calling on my life. And that's what you need. You need to be around those type of people. So my 3 points that I can leave with you guys, and then we're going to get ready to dismiss. Man, this conversation has been amazing, but I want you to embrace the transition, stop fighting it, come out of hiding, be your authentic self, be your authentic self, be your authentic, multifaceted, multi-million-dollar self with a 9-to-5 and a business. Come on, somebody. Be who God has called you to be. Embrace that transition. And my third point for transitioning is, man, just go. Just go. Just move. Get on the wave and ride it. Get on the train and move. Get on the train and go. Do what it is that you are sensing your pivotal moment. This is a pivotal moment for some of you. Now, we're not saying that you need to move. We're not trying to tell you to quit your job. Don't get on here and say Sharisa and Shatara told y'all to quit my job. No, that is not what we're saying. We are not telling you, don't you do that. Don't you quit your job. If God ain't told you to quit your job, don't you quit it and try to blame on us. Talk about what we said. You shift how God is leading you to shift. You may be shifting into a new position on your job, a new job, a new place, but don't sit up here and say that we telling y'all to leave. If you leave your job, that's on you, but you better make sure God has called you to it and do what he's telling you to do. Amen. Glory to God. Listen, this has been an amazing segment on movement and transitioning and shifting, man. If y'all have questions, I see the comments. I see some people, let me see. I see the Zoom. I see y'all saying yes, it has, amen. Some of y'all laughing. Look at y'all. She laughed. She laughed her butt off. That's what she got on here. Listen, God is so good. He's so faithful, man. And this conversation, Shatara and I may have to come back and just keep, pouring into you all and keep talking about it, because the shift doesn't really stop. Like once you get to one place, what are you going to do next? Like you got to be ready. That's why you have to get in a position, get in a posture yourself. If you are a believer, go to God, man. Ask God, like, what is it that you want me to do? What you want me to go? How you want me to do this thing? Let me tell y'all, I had to grieve leaving the school. I grieved for months, cried my eyes out for months, because I knew I had to grieve the old me. And my coach, she was like, you're grieving the old you. You're not that in that place anymore. You're not that person anymore. You used to be the teacher. You used to be this, but that's not who you are anymore. God has called you to something else. I had to grieve that. Though I was ready and I knew the shift was happening, but I had to grieve the old me. Some of you may be grieving right now. You may be in a place where you're sensing a shift. You're sensing that it's time for you to go. You're sensing that it's time for you to move. You're sensing that it's time for you to be authentic. You may be in a hurtful space now. Then Shatara talked about the incident. Listen, sis, I cried last night too, because I was like, oh my gosh, that could have been any school. I think about the times where we had to pretend that we had an active shooter in the school. Man, that is the craziest. It's a crazy time for everybody. It's just, and one thing I think I showed, it was a couple of weeks ago, I think, Shatara, I sent you that message about, I was on Twitter and I saw this lady post. She said, I've been an educator for 22 years and they fired me today. Now, I don't know what they fired her for, but I'm like, man, livelihoods are being changed like that. Do you hear me? Y'all do what it is and get into the season, man, and do what it is that I see y'all with the loves on Facebook. Man, listen, things are shifting. Get in the shift, get in the flow. Get in the presence of God and allow him to speak to you and allow him to share with you what it is that you guys need to do, where you need to go, how you need to do it. He is the best chess master. My sister Keisha KJ, she says that all the time. His plans are flawless. But if we just get in front of him and allow him to drive the thing, we just get in the flow with him, we embrace it and we go. Man, the great things and the good things God can do on the backside of you just flowing in the shift. Shatara, is there anything else, man? I think I listen. This conversation has been so good. It's so timely and it's so needed. And I just believe that those of you who are either on now or listening to the replay, man, God has dropped some gems. Some of y'all are pondering some things. Some of y'all are really trying to get confirmation about some things. Some of y'all are already moving into some things. And I'm honored that God is allowing this platform or these platforms that we're on to be able to share how we had to transition and how we had to go through the fight. It's a war. You're going to be at war. It's no way around it. It's war. It's war. It is war. Leaving the old and coming into something new. It's war, leaving that comfortable place and getting uncomfortable. It's war. But I'm telling you, you have the tools to fight it. You have the tools to go and do and be all who God is calling you to be, and to do it and do it authentically you. Shatara, do you have anything else you want to add? Listen, share with the people as well your last thoughts, and make sure you let them know how they can get connected to you.
All right, so I just wish y'all the best, whatever that looks like for you. Whatever your next is, whatever you desire, because you're here because you desire something, some type of transition or is happening in your life. And I just wish you the best. Like, I pray that it is the best transition you could have ever made, and that it's fruitful and it just continues to grow, and that God just blesses your life abundantly. It's abundance is what I'm praying for, abundantly. And you can connect with me. I'm Shatara S. Clark on Facebook. I'm on Facebook a lot more than Instagram, but on Instagram, I'm Miss MS Ty TYTALKS Talks. Miss Ty Talks. On Facebook page, I'm Ty Talks. I have a page that's my nonprofit, and my LLC, Ty TY Rights, WRITES. So you can also check out my website, all things tyrights.com. So check us out.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. She said, listen, she wished you guys the best. And hey, that's it. We want nothing for but the best for you all. We want you guys to really embrace what God is doing, embrace the shift, embrace the transition, and just move, ma'am. Let's move. Well, many of you all know me, but if you don't, I am Sharisa T. I am the visionary of HR Ministries. And I coach LLC, where I understand that I am a midwife and I help, as well as I tutor children, but I also help adults birth their businesses, their books, their dreams, their visions. I help them bring those to pass with my experiences as an entrepreneur. I also, like I said, I work with children as well. That's God has really, really, really allowed me to still be in the educational realm. I get notifications. A lot of the schools are ending now. And so I've had many, many people reach out to me about test results and things like that. So education is my first love. And Shatara, she said it, we never get over education. Like I will always be an educator. I remember when I was 4 and 5 years old, playing school with my Barbie dolls, teaching up, getting those old books from in the house and teaching my Barbie dolls like I was in school. So I'll never forget, and I'll never forget my third grade teacher, because that's where my passion really came from, to be an educator, because she believed in me. She told me some things and made me believe as a third grader that I can do anything, and I wanted to be able to impart that into the children who I met. And so that's how I even got into education anyway. But that's my first love. Those are just some of the things I do. You can connect with me. Many of you are on some, I see some people on Clubhouse. But if you don't know how to connect with me, I'm on Facebook as Sharisa T. Is my page on Facebook. I'm also on IG and Twitter as Sharisa T. Or you can visit my website, www.sharisat.org, and you can learn more about me and the amazing things that I do. Listen, we are so grateful to be able to come again and share our heart with educators. And I know that we put this for educators, but not everybody who's listening. And I'm looking at some now that are not educators, but you are educators in your own way. You may not teach children, but you teach something. I believe that we all have influence. We have a sphere of people that we are able to help and able to guide. And I do believe that God put you guys here for a reason. So whatever the nugget is that God has pulled out for you today, I want you to chew on it. Hey, if you're on Facebook, you'll be able to see the replay, go back and jot your notes down. We'll also upload this to YouTube for my YouTube family. Those of you on Clubhouse, I think the replays are on. If you're on Zoom and you want to go back and watch this, hey, get connected to one of our sites, and we will make sure that you're able to catch that replay. Shatara, do you have anything else, sweetheart? Anything else you want to tell the people? I like that dress. That's pretty. That is pretty.
Listen, Sheen in. That's my jam, Sheen. I just want to thank you, Sharisa, for having me again. I just thank you. I thank you for your obedience and just reaching out, and for us doing this. I think we're gonna bless and help some people.
Yeah, I do too, man. God is so good. Like I told you, when He put your face before me, I I don't know. I was like, Lord, I hadn't talked to him in a while, but let me reach out and see what's going on, because he said it. So let me be obedient. And just to, know what happened on the backside of this. Hey, we did two. This is the second one. If you haven't seen the first one, you need to go to my YouTube channel. We still talked about transition there. Go to my YouTube channel and you can check out that first one. But man, God is just so good. And I'm just glad, Shatara, that you were able to accept the assignment and you were able to come on here and just be a vessel, because our voices, we're so needed in this season, man. So many people are needing are needing to are in a shift. We're in this pandemic and there's so many things that are happening, school shootings and people getting shot. It's just so many crazy things that are going on, and we're needed. It's time for many of us to rise up and to be who God is calling us to be, man. And so I'm just honored again to be able to come on and host this webinar. Hey, listen, y'all get connected with us. We don't know, we may be back. I don't know what God is going to tell us to do. You know, we may have to come back and do some things and shake some stuff up, because I do believe that's what God is saying. But listen, God bless you, God keep you. Hey, make sure you connect with us. Find us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Clubhouse, Twitter. If you are on Clubhouse, make sure that you click that green mansion and join the Creatives Lounge, a place where I talk about all things for creatives, people who create, entrepreneurs, educators, CEOs, aspiring authors, aspiring CEOs. Man, content is coming on this platform soon. Hey, if you're on my Facebook page, God bless you, God keep you, stay connected. Let's keep going and embrace the shift. God bless you guys. You all enjoy and have an amazing night.